Welcome. My name is Mark Anthony Dubose Jr. I was born July 4th, 1986. I want to say thank you for tuning in to try to figure out some more about your dogs. But today it's something that I don't know why I want to talk about this, that I was just talking about something for a couple of minutes. I decided to just scratch that and just get into what it is I want to talk about with these dogs today. And it comes down to dog training. What was the purpose for dog training to be created in the beginning? Why is dog training here? What did dog training do? And what is it that dog training represented when dog training was, like, say, founded and started? When the first person said, hey, we want to get some dog training tech, we want to get this techniques together to be able to, what were we doing for these techniques to be able to get? That's what I want everyone to really just kind of do some more research on this dog stuff, your own selves. That I know why it started. It started based on obedience type work, shows, tricks, such as different competitions and things like that. That's what it started from. And that's what dog training was to do, was to take the dog out of its said element and to put it into something else to get it to do things that are said foreign to it. This is why for me, it's interesting that the more I do nothing but just run this dog, which she just wants to do, this what's inside of her, and all my other dogs, let my dogs chase when they need to chase, let my dogs do this stuff, the better they get. It has nothing to do with any of the dog training stuff, because of what the dog training is doing is trying to take away from what the dog is and trying to make it do something that is said basically just straight up front, not comfortable with doing. And the reasons that we can get the dogs to do things that are not comfortable is by make it seem fun, give you this treat, give it this treat, give it this treat. And that's why most people, most of y'all are struggling with your dog right now, because you're trying to force your dog to walk with you and you're trying to give it a treat. And the dog doesn't want to be around you because it just doesn't, for whatever reason, it just doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about you more likely because of what we're doing with these dogs is disrespecting them all day long and not letting them do what it is that they need to do inside. The more and more I let this dog do what she needs to do, the more and more simpler and easier life really starts to get with working with her. That I don't need to worry so much. Because even right now, it's late in the day. It's time for all the chickens to come back home. So she's got all of them just running, doing what they're doing, all in front of her, all in her face. And she's on her own, holding herself back. Not me having to say anything other than using this leash to contain her. And soon enough, this leash isn't going to need to be needed because I'm going to show her over and over and over and over and over what it is I'm looking for, not what I'm not looking for. Because otherwise, the method that majority of people use right now is, oh, she's looking at chicken and just snap that leash. Oh, she's looking at chicken. Oh, look, please look over here, doing stuff like that. And when you start to do that, you're starting to take them out of being who that they are. Then that's where we're gonna have to keep on going that route because we're not allowing the dogs to be able to get through it on their own. And that's why I just really question, like, dog training. Why did it start? Why did someone create an official manual to say, this is how we do techniques, this is what we're looking for, this is how we get it done? Is that meant for a person to have a nice pet dog inside of their home? Because what's very interesting to me is something that I was thinking about today. It's the concepts of just what I've seen in my life growing up and how much we've changed and how much we're doing. Because I remember being a kid that, we didn't have these cell phones. We had phones that hooked up to the wall. We even had the phone with the little spinning thing. You got to spin the numbers and get your call out. And they always hooked up to lines. I remember the times that we used to drive thousands of miles, no phones. We just have a map. There's a map. You get lost, where do you go? To the gas station, ask for directions. There was times that we used to do that, people. But it's almost like we forgot about that. And when I talk like this, it sounds like I'm like 150 years old. But I'm not even 40 years old at this point, and I've seen the progressions of all this. And it's almost like we don't remember that anymore. We're so dependent on all these little things that's why what I just see as today, we're struggling. We're dependent on so much. We're actually not expanding our horizons. We're limiting. We're getting more and more and more controlled ourselves. So the more controlled we get ourselves, the more we put on everything else. And the more control that we keep putting on, the more everything just starts to become more chaotic, the more anxious things get. I mean, just think about your own self is what I really want this whole video to kind of just be a self-reflection of. Think about your own life right now. Of how anxious and worried and nervous are you? How are you just in this sense of not in control at all, even though it seems like you got everything kind of it's all working right? You got your bills paid, you got this right, we're eating pretty good, but yet you just notice you're not in control of anything that you're doing. You're not in control of the type of food that you're even able to eat. You're not in control of anything. You're under control all day long. And all that control all day long, that's what's making us more anxious, more fearful, more just on edge, more nervous. And that nervousness is what we're doing to these dogs at this moment, as opposed to giving them more freedom. The freedom to do what they need to do. And once they do what they need to do, they're going to calm down and relax and be able to just chill. They're going to chill out. They're going to be very, very thankful for that. But that's not what dog training is about. Dog training is about controlling it more and more and more. And not only just that, but you as well. You can't this, can't that, can't this, can't go there, can't talk to them like this, can't let them on the furniture. They can't be here. They can only be in the crate. They can't this, they can't this, they can't. That's just what's going on. So every single time you go, I got some of this stuff from the dog school. I got a whole book of all the slides that we went through. But basically everything that you're having said issues with the dog, you are no longer allowed to do anything with that dog anymore. And once you stop doing all of that, then the dog will get better. And that's not true, because all that we're doing is putting more and more and more layers of control on. And the more that you say you can't this, can't this, can't this, can't this, can't go over there, can't meet this dog, can't meet this person, can't do this, can't run, can't chase, can't this, the more that we keep putting more and more of those layers on, the more and more the dog is going to look good in the moment, and then it's going to explode because it's holding back everything that's inside of it. And unfortunately, what's going on in society with us as humans? We're seeing more of this explosion out of humans today that is just like out of nowhere, it seems, for most people. They're like, that was a pretty cool person. How the heck did they do that 2 days later? That was a pretty calm person. I was talking, was hanging out, everything is good. How did he go do that to his family over there? Like, it's wild that all that control gets pushed on, and then you just have to let it all out. And when you let it all out, it's in a way that it's blind, because you go into a rage, and that rage just has an explosion. And that's what's going on right now, people. The more and more control that we keep putting on them, the worse and worse things get. The more and more control that you are, because that's all that's going on. You know, we someone might say it was risky, but we used to be free when we used to drive, man. We used to drive free. There was no GPS in no cars. There was no tracking in no cars. I mean, my Jeep truck here, this thing was made in '88. It's got no, this is why this car I like my old vehicles. It's got no electronic stuff like my AC in it. You even got AC, pretty impressed. But it's all vacuum. There's no like wires to it. It's impressive. It's free. There's like there's nothing that holds it back. Nothing can shut it down. You get a battery, you start it, you don't even need a battery in it. You can just drive, man. Just don't turn it off, you can go. And there's no problems with it. There's no check engine lights in that thing. There's no nothing. You got to just feel it to know what's going on with it. We are free. And today, we are no longer free like that. Everything is controlled. Everything is limited. Everything has a warning sign, and this and this and this, and can't this and can't there, can't go over here, can't go over there, can't do this, need this. You can't go 15 feet away from your house without having your phone on you. That's more and more control. That is not freedom. That is controlling you more, that you are unable to just freely move on this planet. Our food sources, you can't buy from here, you can't buy this type of stuff, you can't go over there and get it, you can't this. It's just more and more control. As opposed to before, if I had some chicken I was raising, I could sell it to you. I can't sell it to you today. I give it to you, but I can't sell it to you. How silly is that? That's not freedom. That is more and more and more control, to the point that we are getting beaten down, man. So many people, y'all's dogs are so anxiety ridden. So anxiety ridden. And it's got nothing to do with the dog. It's got everything to do with where that dog is living, what's going on with that dog. And that's the whole official science of Ophi. Ophi. We good, girl. Oreo, go lay down. You got a broke bum foot right now. You need some rest. You can't come out and chase for a couple days. I don't know what happened to my dog's foot. His foot hurting today. But we're all this control. So the dog is in this anxiety ridden. The dog is just a reflection of what's going on inside of that household. That's just all that I constantly keep on seeing over and over and over and over and over again. That's how I'm able to take a dog that is just flipping out, going crazy. I keep it for a couple of days, and the dog is totally fine, because I'm not putting that dog through that control, that toxic situation, that toxicness that we are trying to. Is the part where we try to act like we're somebody, and then we're actually not. That's why it's so easy for me to be able to see in the dogs what's going on, because the dogs don't lie. They're just showing it all out. But if I change this dog's environment, the dog is going to look pristine. And that's what we need to start to really understand on giving the dogs a better life on this planet, is we need to change the environment. Not so much as, oh, I used to live in a neighborhood, now I need to go live on a farm. Yes, that is something of a change of an environment, but also just changing what's going on inside of your home. If inside of your home, everything is just like on edge, you're unsure, you don't know, you need to figure something out about that. Because that's the part with me that makes perfect, easy understanding of what's going on in my life by seeing what's going on with my dogs. by seeing how they're acting and what's happening with them. When I see that they start to get on edge, I have to self-reflect and say, what am I stressing about right now? What's going on? Excuse me, what's going on in my world right now that is giving this like this negativeness out, as opposed to everything being good to go. Because I could tell when things are going good to go, real easy. Especially this dog is like so easy to be able to read it from, because when she's out, we're running and we're doing what we're doing, and she's going 100. We're just like we're living good life. Everything is great. When I could just have her here, and I could have her looking at all the chicks doing what they're doing, and I could just gently pull her and get her and snap her in. We're living a really good life right now. There's not much that's stress going on. There's nothing chaos going on. There's not no anxiousness going on. There's nothing going on. We're just hanging out. But when things start to become into conflict, when I'm like starting to like have to like, you're not listening to me basically. That's when I had to like look at my world, look at my life, look at my day, and start asking like, what's going on? Because why? Because this is something that is very interesting. Why does my dog not want to be around me? I should be like the most positive thing, but why doesn't the dog want to be around me? It's because something's going on that you're giving off to that dog that is saying, get the heck away from me or else. And you got this like this negativeness. And to me, that's just the more and more control that we have. The more control that the world is putting on us. Today, we are the most unfree than I believe that we've ever been. It seems we're perceived to be free. We're perceived to be able to do what we want to do. It's perceived to be that way. And that's why a certain environment changes, I can say, can help some people out, like such as me helping my own self out. I got sick and tired of only being able to get my food from a place that I don't know what it is. Where I got here, now I could create and do my own. It was hard at first. I've never dealt with it, never done with it, but I have this sense of security behind me today of I got my own cows out there. I got my own chickens back there. I got my own, everything out here to be able to eat from. So I feel very safe and very comfortable with that. So that's a layer of control that I've got into a little bit more freedom. And that's what's going on with us today, is we're in so much control. And not only do we have to try to control ourselves, now we got to control the dogs as well. Because if the dogs start acting out, start acting unruly, we control it. If we as humans start acting out, start acting unruly, we start to control it. And that's what's going on, and it's been going on for hundreds and thousands of years at this point. To be able to get to, in reality, kind of, we're headed into some slippery, we're headed into some slippery situations here. That's why for me, I don't know about a lot of y'all, but I don't really talk too much about this other part of my life. But it's I'm trying to get some space, some remote space, some remote space that it's going to take 3-hour drive to be able to get to type remote space, just to have something of security. And that's why I'm getting and gaining all my skills out here. That's why I'm even getting into rabbits, because chicken is hard to be able to keep alive on your own. Rabbits, they do it all on their own. I don't need much input for them. And it's just that's what's going on in this planet, is we're getting more and more control. As much as someone would say we're living in freedom. And that's what I see going on with a lot of these dogs. These dogs are stressed and struggling because of all of the control, and they're not getting better. Look at this cookie. Look at this cookie. Pay attention to this leash. You better yank it on that leash and tell that dog to stay with you. And the dog isn't getting any better, because the more and more that you keep doing that, the worse and worse that the dog is going to get. It's just like it's an eye-opening experience to me. You just keep reading more and more books on all this stuff, and just getting more and more understanding of what's going on this planet, and just like piecing things through, and just really really realizing what's actually going on out here and what actually is happening. Because a lot of times what's going on out here is not what it seems. And that's what, I can't stand it, but it is what it is. And how I'm upfront with people today. I mean, I always been when it came down to dogs. When I see that your dog is anxious, I instantly am coming out with a storyline of being anxious as a human being, being anxious, having problems, being late, not being on time, struggling, hurting, sad, all these things. And then when someone hears that, it's like the trigger that's like, yeah, that's what's going on, as opposed to just lying about it. Because the more that we try to lie about it and try to mask it and try to hide it, that's what dog training is going to be able to represent. That's what it represents. That's what it's going to be able to do. It's going to be able to get something to do something that it's not supposed to do. And they are always going to have to give pushback in the end, because it is what it is. It's going to happen to all of us in all the work that we do. We show up, I mean, things are changing. Trying to buy houses today, prices are going back up again. Not any higher than it's ever been in history, but it's starting to get there again. It's starting to get there to a point that it's going to start to be very, very uncomfortable. So uncomfortable that it's going to be very, very hard to. I kind of want you to go chase that one. She's kind of being mean. She's leaving. It's going to be very uncomfortable to the point that it's going to put so much pressure on you, And then all that pressure is not going to make you like be happy and be good. No, it's going to make you madder and madder. That's how your work is right now. I remember when work was work. You showed up, you were a manager, you were a manager. You weren't like doing all of it. You weren't doing the whole thing. You had a specific job for every specific thing. But today, what do? 18 different things now. You're no longer hired for this. You're hired for that, and they slap on like you got to be a janitor as well in the middle of all this. How much, all that pressure that's put on you, having you do stuff that's not really for you to do, that you know anything about, that's not inside of you to do, how much does that just aggravate the all heck and be out of you? And then that's what we do to the dog. You know, we get the dog that likes to run, and then we say, I don't like to run, so you're just gonna sit on the couch all day. And we're gonna like play these games to try to get it to do something else, thinking that that's gonna work. And it is gonna work. You're gonna have to crate that dog all the time that you're not with it. You're gonna have to, when that dog comes out and works, you're gonna have to be a little on edge. Grab your bite suit and be ready, because that dog is gonna come out and ready to be wild and ready to be crazy. And we wonder how these dogs bite with such intensity. It's like, let's ask the questions of what's going on behind closed doors. Because when that dog comes out of that crate and it's willing to want to bite so much, it's got the excitement, but there's frustration, because that's the word that we use with it, right? Frustration. We're building the frustration of the dog. When you start to frustrate something and it wants to lash out, why are we like convincing our dogs inside of our homes to do that when we're just trying to sleep and hang out with them? And that's something that is very, very confusing to me. And that's why most of us are struggling with these dogs, because we're getting the dog and we're like, we want you to do this instead of what you're supposed to do, thinking that the dog's going to be able to understand that. And the dog doesn't understand that. And the more and more that you dig deep into that, is the more and more control that you're putting on top of it. The more control you put on top of it, that an explosion is just waiting to happen. And that's just what I see. That's what I see going on. That's what I've seen since the day I was a baby child on this planet, realizing everything that I'm just paying attention to. How the phones started to change, how the internet started to change, how the TVs started to change. I remember when on the movies, the movie would come out and you would be able to get a VHS copy of it 2 years later. It used to take 2+ years. Nowadays, the movie's out and it's already for you to stream instantly on some sort of service or something right to your TV right away. Everything is like that. And it being faster is more layers of control, not any more type of freedom. Things come to your house. You order a package, it's there. I order something today, it'll be here tomorrow. It's coming faster. More and more control. More and more control. It's not more freedom. That's what's going on around our lives right now. More and more control. And the more control that we keep getting, that's the more that we start to see a simple animal that can't handle that control. We as humans can at least deal with it somewhat, but we can't handle it. These dogs are incapable of handling that amount of control. The dog has to do what the dog has to do. If the dog never gets a chance to do what the dog needs to do, I don't care what you do. Outside of giving that dog what it needs, it is not going to get better. Period. It is just not going to get better. If your dog has a desire in it that it has to chase, it has to hunt, it has to do that. And if it never gets a chance to be able to do that, the dog is going to go insane. It's something as simple as this right here. Day one with this dog, looking at these chickens out here. This dog, if I never ever let her chase, that'd be abuse on my side if I got a dog just specifically not being able to chase, knowing that I know that it needs to chase. But if I never let her do it, she would be barking, lunging. She would be going insane right now, absolutely insane. She wouldn't be able to even come close to even be thinking about holding herself back right now. She would be insane, just on an explosion. Oh my goodness. And then if I said, oh, look at this cookie, look at this cookie, look at this cookie, she would look good for a second while she's getting fed over and over. And or if I'm using this leash to just keep pulling her, she'll look good for a moment. But I'm not actually satisfying what's going on inside of her. What's going on inside of her, she has to do that. She does not have a choice. She has to. I can't decide and say, I don't like it, so I'm not gonna let her do that anymore. She has to do it. And if she does it, she's a nice dog at that moment. Or a super chill dog, a super relaxed dog, super hanging out dog. And that's what we're all looking for out of the dogs. And that comes by giving the dog what that dog needs and not controlling that dog away from what that dog is actually intended to be able to want to do. And that's just what's going on as a universal thing with all of us today, is we're being controlled into you this, as opposed to you doing what you want to do. How many of us grew up in households where it was, you have to go to college, and you were like, I don't want to do that. How are you doing in life today right now? That's something I'd really want a lot of people to just have self-reflection on. To everyone that you had to this, and are you living that life that you're like, I like this? And this comes down to a lot of y'all get stuck on this money. I don't care what money you make right now. You may be satisfied with the money part of it, but you're not satisfied with what you're actually doing on a day-to-day basis right now. You are angry because you're not doing what it is that you wanted to do. You're doing what someone else told you to do away from what it is that you wanted to do. And even if you're doing what you're doing, making a fifth of the money that you make right now, I'm going to tell you this, you will be much more excited, much more happy with yourself at the end of the day, with the less money doing what it is that you wanted to do. And that's what's going on today. We're control. And then we're wondering, oh, someone else can control me, so I could do that to the dog. And the dogs, they don't lie, they don't hide. They just show what's going on. They show the realness. That's why they're easy for me to work with. They show me the real. She shows me everything that's going on. She's not hiding it. She's not trying to portray something she's not. She's just being who she is. And it's easy to be able to work with something like that. And that's where we're struggling right now, because we're trying to run away and hide. Your dog is anxious and you're like, oh, I don't know what's going on with my dog. As opposed to doing a self-reflection, I bet you are. I bet you nervous as all can be right now. I bet you paranoid right now. You're nervous at everything in your day-to-day right now. And your dog is just showing it, real world, and you're trying to hide it. You're trying to hide behind something and trying to act like everything is okay. If your dog is like extremely pushy, like domineering type, I'm gonna ask you, how are you? What's going on with you? You are that way. You go to work with this fake persona of trying to be so tough, trying to be so strong, trying to be so hard, but you're just not. And your dog is showing it to you. Pay attention to the dog. That's why I say over and over, people, study your dog. Look at your dog. Look at your dog. Study your dog. Pay real close attention to your dog. Your dog is displaying what's going on around your world and your environment. That's all that it's doing. Your environment. That's how I can take your dog and take it into a new environment, and your dog is going to act differently in hours, if not a few days. That your dog is going to be different because I'm going to change its environment. When it's in its environment and it's doing what it's doing, I want you to study that dog. Thank you. You want to go chase some of these chickens? You can go. I'm just going to take the whole collar from you, all right? Hey, girl. It's just something super fascinating that I just really, I don't know why I was, like literally had a weird, strange dream last night thinking about the concept of how we used to just drive, people, and go places and see stuff and like go on vacations and had no cell phone. But yet today, it's like someone can't even fathom that. Like it's such a need. Like you get paranoid instantly when you don't have that phone with you. But yet we used to do it with no problem. And this is something that I just see with these dogs. And it's like, we didn't always have e-collars. We didn't always have these fancy leashes and all this stuff. We just now got it. But it's like, we can't even fathom like what it used to be like without it. And that's what in reality gets me to like learn more, is the understanding of the foundations of how this all got started. There's no way that the only reason that we had dogs nice is because of an e-collar. Those things are not that old. They're not even 100 years old. So 100 years ago, what did people do? Did they all have trash dogs? Like, what were we doing 100 years ago? It's something that is just so interesting to me to just really think about. Because we're like getting dependent on this stuff as if like we need it and we can't survive without it. Like I remember I was baby. I was maybe like 1 year old, 2 years old. When the microwave came to us, those things used to be like $1,300, $1,500. Now you can get one for like $5 at the Goodwill. When the microwaves came around and people got those. And now most people under my age, they don't even know how to eat without a microwave. But we used to like cook whole meals and do everything without that. We used to, it's just, there's no way that we look at world today as if like, we need it. You don't need it. You don't need it. We were able to do things without it. And in reality, we were able to do better things without the stuff that we have today. Because we're actually paying attention to, being more in tune with what it is that we're doing in this world. As opposed to today, we're so controlled. So controlled. It's one thing that I could just suggest to anyone and everyone. If you're struggling right now, like just put your phone away for a little while. Get you a little cheap little rickety one that ain't got no screen on it. You can't do nothing with. It's just I get you. You think you need it for your safety, but just get you something. Get away from it. Get away from a lot of the world stuff that's going on that you think that you need to be in, and just stop and just step away and get away from it. And watch how your stuff's going to get better, because that's the concept. If we change our environment, we can change ourselves. And if you still stay in that same environment, you're not going to get you're not going to grow anywhere. And that's the whole concept of why we leave our parents when we get older. We got to leave that environment and create our new and start our own. If we stay in that, who knows what's going to happen? We got to go off and do something different here. And when we go do something different, then we're going to see something different. We're going to be able to create what it is that we actually want to do, as opposed to what people are trying to tell us to do. And that's something that is just horrible for a lot of people. We got stuck into, you got to this, and you didn't want to do it. And now you're in it, and now you feel extra stuck because now you're like, I don't know how, I can't just quit this. I'm here now. And that's what I want so many people to be able to figure out how to be able to get out of that control that you're in, that you're under. Because we were capable as human beings to be able to do some incredible things. But today we're like slowing everything down. All our inventions are slowing down. Everything's slowing down today. And it's slowing down because we're not doing what it is that we need and should be doing. And that's what we're even doing to these dogs. Oh, I don't like that you run. So I'm going to make you sit on a place bed for 8 hours today. I'm going to train that, and I'm going to put you in fear if you get off that bed. And don't even think about getting off that bed. And you wonder why that dog wants to bite your face off. I just want people to just think about that. Think about that. You limit everything about it, and you strip everything from it. And you wonder why that dog wants to bite your face off. I just want people to just really think about what's going on in your house. The real in your house. Not this what you think it is or what you want it to be. And your dog is going to show you what's real. And it's not going to lie to you. It's straight up, people. Straight up.